Hello everybody to our third and final race of the weekend here in Estoril for the 2023 Spanish F4 Championship. Welcome along to our third race of the weekend. We've had two entertaining races for various different reasons, and of course in both cases victories for championship leader Teofil Nile. He's now going for 3 in a row this weekend. He's going to do it from 4th on the grid, as this grid is set by the results from qualifying this morning. The grid earlier on was set by the second fastest qualifying times from Saturday's session yesterday.
Que le va a estar acompañando en primera fila al francés
Enzo Deligny, que estará partiendo a su lado. Ahora
Christian Ho por delante después de haber estado partiendo por detrás de Teofil Nile, por lo tanto, situación ya conocida para el piloto del Campos Racing, que va a intentar
mover a la primera plaza ya desde la primera curva. En segunda fila de parrilla tenemos a Valerio Rinichella por delante de Teofil Nile, que después de haber encabezado las dos primeras parrillas de salida estará ahora Cardenas. I got told off for saying Cardenas rather than Cardenas, so thank you for the person who reminded me in the comments. Here is the grid then. So it's Ho and Deligny on the front row of the grid for Rinichella and Nile, then Claro and Lyle on the third row for MP Motorsport and for Rodin. Then it's Cardenas and Kloos on the fourth row. Kloos in his first weekend of the championship doing pretty well. Then it's DePalo and Carrasquedo to round out the top 10. Alazari and Barrichello on the sixth row. Watch for Fernando from row 6. Then it's Juan Cota and Ricardo Gracia from Federico Al-Rafai and Pablo Sarrazin. Alex Ninovic also has some work to do in the second of the Rodin cars, back from 17th, head of Abkajava. Then it's Geronimo Beria, who was black flagged in race 2 for getting a push start. And Hayuke Yamakoshi, Theodore Jensen, Noah Strumsted. And then the rest after that, it will be Eric Jensen, Eric Genet and Griffin Peebles, then Hodenius and Luciano Morano, Sebastian Murray and Flavio Oliveri. Then it's Restrepo, Juravsky, who had a technical issue which forced him out after his car was smoking at the end of the formation lap. Barashi and Darionani, and then it's Alvise Rodella and Carl Bennett from Thailand, who start at the back of the grid. All 34 present and correct and ready to go. So can Teofil Nile, from 4th on the grid, make it a hat-trick this weekend, or any of the cars around him, particularly the 3 in front, do anything to stop him? Christian Ho, of course, is looking to try and take victory. If he can, it would be victory number, I can tell you in a second, 2 of the season if he can make it from pole. He started from pole twice before. It's his 3rd time he's doing so. He's had 3 third places on the bounce. Can he go a step higher or potentially take race victory for 30 minutes plus 1 lap? So it's 4 points for this one. The 5 lights come on then, and race 3 of F4 Spanish Championship for Estoril gets underway. They're out pretty quickly. It's a strong start from Ho from pole, who immediately does the chop and goes to the inside to defend the racing line. It's a strong start from the top 4. Niall sweeping around to have a look around the outside of Rinichella as they head towards turn 1, and it is in fact Ho who leads it. Deligny in 2nd place, Rinichella 3rd, and Niall holds on to 4th place. We'll filter through Curva 1 and Curva 2 for the first time. Strong start for Noah Lyle in the leading Rodin car. He's up to 5th or 6th. They wind their way towards Lamy for the first time. One car skating off into the gravel already in the background, but picks its way through. I'll try and catch what number that is in a second if we can get it on the screen, and it is 14, and that is Al-Azari. So Al-Azari, who started in from 11th on the grid, is right down towards the back of the field. He's had 1 or 2 strong results so far this weekend, but not the start he wanted for race number 3. So Christian Ho leads the way on midway through lap number 1 here at Estoril for race number 3 of the weekend for Spanish F4. 2nd for Deligny, 3rd for Rinichella. A lock-up from Teofil Nile in 4th place. Then Lars having a strong start from P5. Then Cardenas, Claro, Kloos, Cota, DePalo and Carrasquedo. That's the top 11. And then Al-Rafai, Barrichello, Gracia, Ninovic in the top 15. Look at them, 2 and 3 abreast. They're fanning out on this opening lap to try and find racing room. One car with their damaged front wing towards the back of the field. I can't quite tell who it is, but somebody with damage to the front of their car and a loose front wing. Out of the Gancho chicane for the first time. Top 4 trying to break away already. It's the 2 Campos cars in 1st and 2nd. MP Motorsport 3rd, Santalot Racing in 4th. They turn their way now out through the Parabolica Ayrton Senna onto the pit straight to end the first lap. So Christian Ho then, the young driver from Singapore, 4th in the championship coming into this race, has a great opportunity here to take his 2nd race win of the season after he picked up victory earlier on this year in the 2nd race at Aragon. But safety car's been deployed though, so racing's been put on hold temporarily. Now, as for the reason why there's a safety car, I don't know if it's possibly due to maybe the car that had its loose front wing, if it's fallen off, and because there's debris on the circuit. We haven't seen the reason around the circuit just yet on the feed, but Someone has hit problems. Oh, that's the reason why. There's a clear reason why there. 3 cars has come together. 28-31, and it's one of the DriveX cars involved as well. So 28 that was involved in that one was Isaac Braschi. 31 is Sebastian Murray, and it's one of the DriveX cars towards the back. I can look down the timing screen to see who is towards the rear. And it is, looks like it is the number 9 car, so it's Georgi Zurawski. So he had problems after the, well, didn't even start race number 2. In the pit lane also as Al-Azari to getting his car checked over after he ran wide on the exit of curve 2. This has been a disastrous day for Zurawski. He didn't even start race 1 due to his car overheating and having mechanical problems, which forced him to pull up on the entrance of pit lane, and that forced an extra formation lap as a result. And now 3 cars getting together and tangling up at the Gancho chicane. So Sebastian Murray, Isaac Braschi, and Gregor Zurawski all involved in that one. Kiana Al-Azari trundles out of pit lane, but he's now way back in 30th place. And he'll have a chance to catch up to the back of the queue. Now here's a replay of the start. Clean getaway from Christian Ho. All the first few guys got away nice and neatly. Everyone in the top 6 or 7 cars were line astern straight away, all weaving around for their own piece of racing real estate. And they turned in. And Noah Lyle tried to go round the outside of the second of the MP Motorsport cars. That would have been Pedro Claro, I think, in that side. Skipping through the gravel there was Al-Azari, just running out wide. And hopefully we can get a view as to what happened between the 3 cars in the mix. This is a little further back. This is Claro and Niall, and that's both cars running wide over the grass. That was Niall essentially not pushing, but essentially just, giving a message to Pedro Claro that if you want to go past me, you have to do it the hard way, because he basically gave him practically no room, although Claro chose to go around the outside. Either way, they are still surviving, and Claro is actually down. Where is Claro? I can't see him in the actual order unless I'm being stupid. Yeah, where is Claro? Pedro Claro's disappeared from the order. Ah, there he is. I think he's just popping into 7th, I think. Yes, there he is. It was a transponder issue. So Pedro Claro was missing for a second, but his transponder was late to pop up on the timing screen. So as the safety car continues to bring the field to a reduced pace, the 3 cars that are tangled up at the Gancho chicane are going to have to be recovered as quickly as possible. As the pit lane comes that car which had the damaged front wing. It's 74 that's had the problem. 74 is Lynn Hodenius, one of the Monial Motorsport cars. So Monial Motorsport quickly performing an impromptu nose change. And now getting back out there and ready to go once again. Quick turn of the locks on the nose and away he goes. But he is a lap down now, so he's got some... No, I don't think he's a lap down, but he's towards the back of the field now because he would have circulated with that damage. And now the team have seen it, they'll have called him in to get that fixed. So the order then after 2 complete laps. The safety car came out just as lap 1 was being completed at racing speeds. It's Christian Ho who leads the way from Enzo Deligny in 2nd. It's Rinicella holding on to 3rd. Crucially ahead of Teofil Niall. If you can try and take some points out of him, that would be quite crucial. Although even if it stays as it is, you'd only take 3 points out of him. And Deligny would also take another... How many would he take? Well, it would be 4 for Teofil Niall. I'll get it right eventually. Teofil Niall with 10 points. And it would be, at the moment... because it's a 30-minute race plus 1 lap, so it's full points for the top 10. Same points structure as Formula 1, so 25 for a win, 18 for 2nd, 15 for 3rd, then 12 for 4th, and then for 5th downwards, it's 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. You also get 2 points for pole position and 1 for a fastest lap. And so as it sits right now, Christian Ho would pick up, it's early in the race, granted, but I think it would be 25 points. And this would then push him on to 172. If it's 18 points, that would go to 2nd place Deligny, and 18 points would give him 174 points. That's the 28 car that's also readying another nose. That will be for the GRS machine, 28, which is Isaac Braschi. His car, it looks like, still stranded up at that complex. Yes, there he is. He hasn't got going, although he has got out of his car rather than stayed in it. And they're readying a nose, but I'm not sure how to tell them that that car's not coming back under its own steam. So the recovery crew's already going into the mix. They're taking the field through the cut-through, through the Tanque corner, which misses the Gancho chicane, which is the slightly shorter version of the circuit. So the top 10 as it sits then, as I mentioned, is Christian Ho from Enzo Deligny, from Valerio Rinicella in 3rd place, Teofil Niall in 4th, Noah Lyle holding on to P5 in the highest of the road in cars. 6th is Cardenas, 7th is Claro, 8th is Cluse, 9th is Kota, and 10th is Al Rafai. Let's have a look at Valentin Cluse's record, and he's done an incredible amount of F4 racing this year. He did essentially a full season of F4 UAE over the winter, and then he's mainly been racing this year in Italian F4, so he's making his debut in the championship in Spanish F4 this weekend, and I should say I'm not surprised that he's towards the front. He's probably done more F4 racing than most people this year so far. Currently sits in 8th place in one of the MP Motorsport cars. He's the 3rd orange car in the picture, just behind Pedro Claro from Brazil. The leading MP Motorsport car is the one in 3rd place, that being Valerio Rinicella. And so in typical single-seater and race car fashion, everyone weaving from side to side to keep those tyre temperatures and pressures up and the brake temperatures up as much as possible into that optimal range. And I imagine there's a slightly reduced pace behind the safety car because they want to, well, I guess it doesn't really matter if they go at reduced pace or not. I think what they're trying to do is trying to give as much time as possible on this lap for the marshals and the recovery teams, who we say a massive thank you to always around the world, wherever it might be, whether it's in Portugal or Spain or in the UK or around Europe, America, Asia, anywhere else. A big, big thank you to all the marshals and volunteers and everyone else that gives their time and their efforts to ensure motorsport events like this can happen, because without it, we simply just can't go motor racing without marshals, and they are heroes in their own right, and the recovery teams and everyone else who volunteers their time and gets involved in the race weekends. Gives them a little bit more time just to recover those 3 cars from the scene of the incident. And what we're thankful is that it would have been quite a low-speed incident, given that it is one of the slowest parts of the course, being the switchback uphill Gancho S's. Those 3 cars will be hoisted away, and once that section of the circuit is clear, the one thing they may have to look out for, 1 or 2 drivers, is there might be 1 or 2 tiny bits of shards of carbon fibre and composite down there, which could cause a problem should there be 1 or 2 cars running through. So as the pack makes its way now out of Curva VIP under safety car, we're just coming up to 1/3 distance in this 3rd and final race of the weekend for the 2023 F4 Spanish Championship. 2 more rounds after this one. We've got the Circuito Ricardo Tormo in Cheste in Valencia, and that's in a couple of weeks' time on October 14th and 15th. And then the season finale takes place on November 11th and 12th at the home of the Spanish Grand Prix, the Circuito de Barcelona Catalunya, where potentially, by the time we get there, depending on results at Valencia, the championship could even be provisionally wrapped up, because think about how many points you can get over the weekend if you win races and actually take the maximum. It's essentially 2. You could essentially take 68 points you could get as a maximum for winning all 3 races. Plus, on top of that, if you add another 3 bonus points and a pole position point as well, let's say in both races too, so you get, let's say, another 7 bonus points on top of that. So that's going to be 68, doing active maths here, 75 points. So essentially, you score a maximum of 75 points there, and given that's a maximum you can take away from the weekend, it essentially means that as long as there's at 1 point within the last 4, by the time we finish Valencia, as far as I can see, if Teofil Nile is at least 75 points ahead of the championship, he can essentially go, or choose not to go, to Catalunya, as far as I can see, as provisional champion-elect. Because ultimately the maximum you can score from the weekend is 75 points in Catalunya. If he's there at least or more than that, then I can't see anybody else trying to beat that in terms of race, even on countback with race wins. Safety car remains here at Estoril. We've gone past the 1/3 distance, still 18 3/4 minutes to go. And Christian Ho currently in control for Campos, young Singapore driver who has been working his way up the ladder. He is a Singapore-Korean racing driver, so part Singapore, part Korean. He's been doing quite a bit of racing, as many drivers have done coming up to this stage in karting. We're looking at Noah Lyle on the screen here, but Christian Ho, I can't even get the drivers correct. The Christian Ho, the Singapore driver, has done quite a bit of karting, particularly in German junior karts. He's done Karting Academy Trophy, WSK Champions Cup as well. He's also part of Nicolas Todd's all-road management stable as well, so he's getting some good guidance. He competed in Spanish F4 last year Ended up 13th in the points with 13th place in points with 50 points scored. And also he did a full season of Spanish F4 and also competed in formerly F4 UAE as well. Picked up 13 points and ended up 21st in the standings, so he's certainly getting quite well versed in F4 circles. Just waiting now for, hopefully, clearance of the incident site. We can get back racing underway again, hopefully with still half of the race plus 1 lap left to go. So Christian Ho still leads it then under the safety car with Deligny in second place, Rinicella in third, Teofil Nile, the championship leader and double race winner so far this weekend for Santa Loc Racing in fourth. Noah Lyle is fifth, Andres Cardenas in sixth, Pedro Clero in seventh, Valentin Cluse in eighth, ninth is Juan Cota, and then it is Federico Al-Rafai who rounds out the top 10. And in terms of the rookie contest, it's Deligny who leads that from Cardenas in second place, Cota third and Al-Rafai fourth. Matteo De Pallo's quite far back down, sixth in the championship, and looking at his results so far this weekend, is seventh and a fourth place for him. Fourth place in race 2, but De Pallo down to 12th after a not great second qualifying session. Fernando Barrichello, who is 14th in the points now coming into this race, sits in 13th. This would be, if he stays there, his best results of the weekend. He retired from race 1 and was 21st in race 2. And Alex Ninovic also has had an up and down weekend, 10th and 9th for him. So, safety car in this lap. This now means, once again, it is up to the leader to become the safety car and choose the restart. Now, I hope he doesn't choose to restart as late as it was Esteban Masson did in Eurocup F3, who literally left it until it must have been a couple of hundred metres to the line in an extraordinary late restart. He got a penalty for that as a result. Thankfully, Christian Ho hasn't gone that late. He's gone much earlier, exiting the S's into the Parabolica Ayrton Senna. As they watch on trackside on the live stream coverage. In front of them, the race is getting back underway. So Christian Ho then leads the way then from Deligny in second place, and they're weaving to try and get temperatures in there, but Deligny's also on the attack. Down the outside for the lead, it's side by side between the two Campos drivers. A lock up from Ho on the inside line, but Deligny might try and hold on to the position if he can, which he has. He's gone round the outside, and Enzo Deligny, the young French-Chinese driver, is into the lead here in race number 3 at Estoril with a great outside pass on his teammate. And now the contenders might start to line up behind Christian Ho, because Rinicella's in the mix, so is Teofil Nile, so is Cardenas, Lyle, Clero, Cluse, Cota and Al-Rafai. They're all in the mix here as they turn out of Curva VIP and up towards the interior hairpin for the first time on the restart. So Deligny then has got some clear track in front of him. He will want to try and chase after what would be only his second win of the season, but his consistency has been rock solid. In fact, he hasn't finished a race lower since Spa. Hasn't finished a race lower than 6th. But he hasn't finished, of every race he's finished since Spa, he's only finished off the podium once of those he's finished. He has retired from 2 of them. That was 2 races at Navarro, but every time since then, through Aragon, Navarra, Jerez and Estoril so far, he's either finished 1st, 2nd or 3rd. In particular, he's finished 2nd 6 times. So I'm sure he's pretty sick of getting runners-up trophies. As much as they're good points, he wants a race victory to add to his tally and also to try and close that gap in. We've got 3 abreast action behind Noah Lyle. That's Cluse, Clero and Cota. And that's not going to work out too much if they're not careful. And they work their way now out of the Parabolica Ayrton Senna. There is Juan Cota, who's got ahead of, I think, both of the MP Motorsport cars. He has. So Cota's got past both Cluse and Clero. So that's impressive stuff from the Spaniard. So Deligny leads the way then. Possible attack here, though, as we see a defensive move from Rinicella to the inside of his main rival, Teofil Nile. And Nile looking for that 3rd win, but he's going to have to get around Rinicella and then Ho and then Deligny, and he finds himself in the position that his rivals have been in all weekend long so far, staring at the gearbox of somebody, wondering if he can get past. There is the Santa Loc driver. He's the only Santa Loc driver in the field, if I'm correct. Tell a lie, I'm being stupid there. It's also Luciano Morano, Theodore Jensen, Sebastian Murray, so there's 4 of them. Into the pit lane comes 21. That's one of the DriveX cars. That's Alexander Abkajava. He's had a very testing and trying weekend. Retired from race 1. Had to start from the pit lane in race 2. And now problems for him. We've seen him in once more with further dramas. Not a good weekend for the Kazakh driver. And unfortunately, it looks like his race is over rather prematurely. And safety car's been deployed again for the 2nd time. Now, again, we haven't seen the reason just yet. So racing has been neutralised once more. Only about a lap or so under racing conditions. What's the phrase? Safety cars breed safety cars. And unfortunately, that's rang true on this occasion. Now, the question's got to be, again, spot the car that's come tumbling down the timing screen. So Abkhazjava's down the order. Also, so is Fernando Barrichello. He's down the order too. So I wonder if there's been a coming together potentially, or something's happened between Fernando Barrichello, at least on his own, or contact. But there, in fact, is Fernando Barrichello. And it's once again exiting the Gancho chicane. There's also another car that's being removed. And that's one of the DriveX cars. It's not... oh, it's Restrepo that's gone off, I think. Yes, Restrepo's at 69 that's off the road. And again, I think it's just collision up at the Gancho section. And the Barrichello is moving. You can see he's got the steering wheel off the Monlau Motorsport machine. But I'm sure rather frustrated. And they've actually quickly managed to remove car 69. There's damage to just the rear wings come off, and also the front wing missing, and the left rear suspension is also quite bent. So whatever's happened there, it's come off worse for them. Now, this is what happened on the restart. This is how the first restart when Deligny got the move down the outside. So defensive move there from Ho to try and hold on, but Deligny had so much more grip to send it around the outside of his teammate. Both of them ran a little wide on the exit, but Deligny did manage to get through and hold on to the place. Then there was the stack up through Lamy and up towards Curva VIP for the first time as everyone moved their way through to try and pick up racing room. So the Kia safety car has been scrambled back into action once again, and hopefully, given that they've managed to push the 69 car of Maximiliano Restrepo out of the way quickly enough, they can also do the same for Fernando Barrichello. Being rolled back into the garage, sadly, is Alexander Abkhazjava's DriveX machine. So DriveX's race has gone a little bit south in the last few moments, given that Restrepo's out of the race with an incident, and also either mechanical or physical damage to the 21 car of Abkhazjava. So hopefully they can get this cleared away soon enough, because we've not seen too much green flag racing. We've only had about a couple of laps and that's it. So this race really has been characterised a lot by safety cars. And so this now, at least, it's one person it's definitely helping, again, is Enzo Deligny. It's one person it's not helping is Théophile Nile, who will be desperate to get himself possibly at least into the podium places. He wants his 8th win of the season if he can manage it. He's going to have to get a really good restart, and it will also all depend on just how much time is left before racing gets underway again. We're coming up to 2/3 distance already. Unfortunately, most of it's been spent behind the safety car due to incidents, but with a 36 car field getting quite congested on opening laps, particularly in the last race of the weekend, when everyone wants to get a good result and they want to end the weekend on a high and take away some good points so they can go forward to the last couple of rounds. It might all help out. Now, the fact there's a gap already suggests we could be going back to green flag conditions in a second, because the safety car's drawn away a bit of a gap. So I suspect possibly lights will be off. We might get a message in a second from race control on the screen. And hopefully racing will be back underway. We'll know if there's a big gap to the safety car in a second, because we won't see the Kia safety car. We'll see a stack up of F4 cars exiting Gancho before we get to the S's. And right, we are going racing this time by then. There it is, safety car in this lap. So now it's Enzo Deligny's turn to get this race underway, and he does so, right exiting the S's. That's a really good restart from the Frenchman. A good jump on Christian Ho initially. It breaks the toe slightly, and it also puts him under pressure from Rinicella and Niles. They come onto the pit straight. Cardenas has gone with him in 5th place as they get back under racing, and fingers crossed this time we can run the last 9 minutes 15 seconds plus 1 lap drama-free without a need for another safety car. Back to green flag at Estoril. Down towards turn 1 again, as you see Rinicella and Niles just trying to dart out and get some clearer air as they turn into Curva 1, back under racing conditions again. Cardenas in 5th position. I'll get it right one time. Noah Alarm in 6th, Claro 7th. It's Kota, Klus and Al Rafai rounding out the top 10 on the restart. And everyone just keeping line astern, minding their P's and Q's at the moment. I suspect they'll have to want to try and do that for a couple of laps, because of course we've had 2 safety cars. So everyone's just trying to be a little bit more careful here as they come out of the final few corners. But good start from Enzo Deligny. You managed to get a really decent jump on Ho and Co. Down towards the interior hairpin. The Red Bull Junior in command now. From Ho, Rinicella, Nile and Cardenas. That's the top 5. Noah Lyle under threat now from the Brazilian Pedro Claro. Lyle just trying to hold on here in the Rodin car. And is that Théophile Nile with a problem? Théophile Nile has got no rear wing. What's happened? Théophile Nile has a damaged rear wing. The championship leader's in trouble. Théophile Nile has a damaged rear wing. Now then, he was battling away with Well, he's battling with Rinicella and also with Cardenas, I think, as well. But what on earth has happened to Teofil Nile, the championship leader, in trouble? He will not get an 8th win of the season, and that's caused a real stack-up because now Noah Lyle's up to 5th position. It's now Cardenas up to 4th, top 3 as it was then. And it doesn't appear to be any, I can't see any damage. It's black and orange for car 4, obviously, because there's no rear wings hanging off. But drama again for the championship leader. So Teofil Nile into the pit lane with a damaged rear wing, and that will be almost certainly, in terms of point scoring, his race over. And it depends on how much damage there really is, whether it was just somebody trying to get up and hold on, and it caught, and it just rode the back of his car, and out it went. So the championship leader in trouble then, and Teofil Nile, after such a positive weekend all the way through with 2 race victories and a pole position, and that has the feel of it being straight into the garage, I'm afraid. And it looks as though, unfortunately, Teofil Nile will not even make the checkered flag. And that is a real shame. Teofil Nile, the big story from race 3, out of the race with damage to the rear of his car, straight into the box, and Santalot will be absolutely gutted by that. What it now means is that we get the option for another winner this weekend, but who it's going to be, we'll have to wait and see in the next 6 minutes 40 seconds, because it will either be Enzo Deligny, Christian Ho, Leo Rinicella. How much could he benefit from this, given that he needs all the points he can get? And Andreas Cardenas in 4th could also do a good result. So too could Noah Lyle and Pedro Claro. So what this will mean is that the points lead that Teofil Nile now has is going to be moved down by at least 25, well, it is maximum 25 points, because that's going to be Deligny taking 25 points out of Nile. There's 242 coming into this race compared to 156 for Deligny. 25 points will put him on to 181. And that plus any bonus for the fastest lap, which will be, if he does that, 182. So that will bring the points gap down if he does win this race with fastest lap. It will bring, which he has got at the moment, so 139.683. That will bring his gap down to, yeah, that will be some 40 points. As up the inside there looks the 61. And that's now the duel going on between Kloos and Juan Cota. And Cota, I think, just about lost out on that place. So Kloos, so Kloos and Cota scrapping over 7th and 8th position, and Kloos looks as though he's got through. So the German regular in Italian F4 and UAE F4 this season, he's now up another place. Hopefully they can try and crack the top 5, but he could manage it in a second. There is the 26 Rodin car in the pits. That's Alex Ninovic, so another of the key drivers in the field in the top 10 in points has gone through. And that's Al Azari gone off at the road again for a second time. I think it is. He had that off at the start of the race before. Meanwhile, Noah Lyle is under big pressure here. He's lost out to... He's on the back of Pedro Claro, in fact. So Claro now has dropped right back from the top 4. Now under big pressure for Lyle. He makes a big dive up the inside in towards the right-hander Aurelia, but couldn't get that one stuck, and that puts him under threat from both Juan Cota and Valentin Kloos as they come up through in towards the Gancho Essie section. And the stack up behind Pedro Claro now is getting quite substantial, because that small little mishap for him has really cost him a few tenths. Ho and Rinicella are also nose to tail. Cardenas is going after them. Another car in the pit lane with troubles. That's car number 11, one of the GRS machines in the pit lane. And that will be, if I can find the actual information on that car, that will be number 11. That's Carl Bennett, who starts at the back of the grid, the young Thai driver hitting problems. 4 minutes and 8 seconds plus 1 lap to go. So it's really getting to the closing stages here. And I think it's about to kick off in a second, because these guys are all desperate for good points here as they can make it happen. There's bits of side-by-side action here. We've got Kloos looking to go around the outside of Juan Cota, who shows him the edge of the road, but looks like Kloos has managed to get through. Now, did he make that pass off the road over the curbs too much? And if so, are the stewards going to want to have a look at that? Because they've had a couple of cars do that, and they've kind of got away with it in some cases, whereas I'm not sure if they will this time. Kloos has held on to the place. There is Claro holding on ahead of Noah Lyle for 5th and 6th, but he's now up to 7th place goes Valentin Kloos, the German driver. Ahead of Juan Cota, the Spaniard. Al Rafai and DePallo now currently round out the top 10 as they make their way up towards the complex. Now here's a replay, I think, of that move. Oh, this is more the restart, actually. Let's see. Maybe we can get some idea of what happened. Oh, it broke by itself. So Teofil Nile, I'm not sure if he was possibly hit by somebody before, but Teofil Nile's rear wing collapsed on its own. That's extraordinary. I've never seen that before so much. So a collapsing rear wing for Teofil Nile. Now, I haven't seen it on the cameras. Whether or not there was a nudge from somebody which possibly caused that remains to be seen. There is another car skating off the road. It's one of the Monlau Motorsport machines. That is number 74 that went off the road. And 74 was Lynn Hedenius. He's had some troubles in this race already, so he's now trying to recover as much as he can. So a few drivers hitting dramas in this third race. It must be the end of the day because these guys really are going for it. So we've got, I'd say, about 3 laps to go here. 2.5 minutes, and lap times are in the 1 minute 39.38. So 3 more laps to go as here comes Pedro Claro, because Valentin Cluse looking for a move on the outside of Noah Lyle. Big move to the inside line. He's going to go around the outside, and there's also a big lock up behind them for the 8 of Mata de Paolo up the inside of, that was Al Rafai, and that would have been for 9th position. But what happened between Cluse and Nile? And the answer is Lyle has held on for the time being, but Cluse is trying to pry his way past on the inside line. This now brings Juan Cota back into the mix in the scrap for 6th. There is Pedro Claro, who's been left on his own now, given that these cars behind are scrapping amongst themselves. As they come out of the curve of VIP and back towards the interior hairpin. Noah Lyle survives for the moment, but he's got quite a bit of pressure behind from both Valentin Cluse and Juan Cota. And the next group of cars led by Matti De Paolo, Al Rafai, then it's Yamakoshi, and a little speculative look there from Carrasquedo in 12th place. He retired from race 2, but he's now running well in 12th position. Behind him we've got Geronimo Berrio and Noah Strumsted. Strumsted in the mix here too as they try and make their way through the right-hander at Aurelia. They navigate the right-hander and up towards the Gancho S's. And now this is the key battle then between Noah Lyle and Valentin Cluse. There's your race leader, Enzo Deligny, fastest lap of the race so far, 1:39.259. And he is currently in command here. Just set the fastest lap of the race last time by. And he continues to extend his advantage. 1.3 seconds over this man, Christian Ho, in 2nd place. The pole sitter after taking the fastest time in qualifying 2 this morning. He's putting away from Rinicello. And Rinicello, if there's any race that he needs points from, it's this one, because he's had a real nightmare weekend in terms of scoring. He finished, well, 6th wasn't a nightmare in race 1, but 14th and not scoring in race 2 meant he lost a chunk of points. It's up the inside there with a huge dive. There goes Yamakoshi on the inside of 71, which was, I should remember this one, shouldn't I? Al Rafai. That's Yamakoshi into the top 10 now at the expense of the other 71. So another of the Rodin cars dropping downwards is Yamakoshi in the Technicar machine is now up into the top 10. So on to the second to last lap now. So of course next time by we'll get 1 more lap to go, because remember it's a 30-minute plus 1 lap race, which means that as soon as the timer hits 0, which it will do in a matter of seconds, 3, 2, 1 now. It's not the end of the race this time, by they'll get 1 more time around the Estoril Grand Prix circuit before we see the checkered flag. And Enzo Deligny, I'm sure, will be just counting the corners before he finally gets another victory, and I'm certain he will be just as delighted at this as he was his first at Aragon. So as they come out of the complex of Gancho and now through the S's, and now onto the pit straight for what should be the second to last time to start the final lap of the season of the weekend. And there's a Deligny then, he's looking for win number 2 of the season. Remember, he's been second 6 times so far this season. In the last few races, he's finished second 3 times out of the last 4 occasions. He's also picked up a 3rd place as well. He picked up a 3rd and a 2nd place at Jerez. He's been twice second this weekend. He would love a victory to round it off and head to Ricardo Tormo with the advantage. And the young Red Bull Junior, the young French-Chinese driver who's been quite the talent in karting, has been picked up by the Red Bull Driver Academy, who's running that iconic Red Bull livery, as all their junior drivers do. And he is keeping a nice watching brief ahead of Christian Ho in 2nd place, and then Valerio Rinicello, who comes into this race 3rd in the points, with Deligny having overtaken him after that 2nd place finish in race 2, considering that Rinicello didn't score. This will certainly be a result that Rinicello will absolutely be relieved to pick up if he can. There's Pedro Claro, who's still chasing after the 4th place man, Cardenas. As they head up the hill and towards the complex at Gancho for the final time, it looks as though that Deligny has got this one in the bag, which is a couple of corners to go. And certainly Red Bull picked him up for a reason. He's been quite a star in karting. He picked his first race win up at Aragon, all the way back at the second meeting. He's been second 6 times since then. But, you know, problems are not for Teofil Nile. Nobody can take it away from him now as he comes out of the final couple of corners. It will be third for Renicella and second for Christian Ho. But celebrations aloft for the Campos Racing team, and a second win of the season for Red Bull Junior. Enzo Deligny crosses the line to take race number 3 at Estoril in the F4 Spanish Championship. Victory for Deligny, second for Christian Ho, and a much-needed podium for Valerio Renicella in third place. Cardenas fourth, and it's Clero fifth, Noah Lyle in sixth, then Cluse, Cota de Palo and Yamakoshi round out the top 10, with Al Refine 11th place, Berrio 12th, Strumstead third, and then it's Carrasquedo and Gracia rounding out the top 15. And that, I'm certain, is a much-needed win, and a delighted Enzo Deligny, already saluting the spectators and the marshals for what's been a pretty solid weekend for him all round. 2 second places and a win, he'll take that. That's really solid points. He's moved up to second place in the championship now, and he's put himself, I think, now to within, looks like to me, 60 points now between himself and Teofil Nile, heading into the final 6 races of the season. That said, if my maths are correct, and sometimes they're usually not, but if I can work it out, so long as Teofil Nile, if he can, leave the weekend at least 75 points ahead of Deligny and co in the points, essentially it means that he could go, we could even choose not to go to Catalunya, but he would, at least if he does, go to Catalunya essentially as champion-elect, provisionally, because he'd be so far ahead that even with the maximum score for the weekend of 75 points, if he scored 1 in all 3 races, 2 half-an-hour races and 1 25-minute race, that maximum score points is 68. And if you get the bonus points for the pole positions and the 3 fastest laps, add them all together, and that essentially puts you on to 75 for the weekend. So long as he can be at least 75 points ahead, we think. My reckoning is that Teofil Nile could leave Ricardo Tormo potentially as champion-elect. But we'll have to wait and see what happens at the penultimate round. But for now, it's time for celebration and for smiles all round, I'm certain, for Campos Racing. A good way to end the weekend. They've also had Christian Ho on the podium all 3 times. That'll be pleasing for him. And of course, Enzo Deligny. He's had 2 second places, as we mentioned. Also strong results for Andres Cardenas, the Peruvian driver, one of the Fernando Alonso management's young stars. But up to the number 1 board comes Enzo Deligny. You can see he's pumped up by that one. And rightfully so. That was a really textbook drive. Ever since he took the lead from Christian Ho down the outside from his teammate, extricates himself from the car. I'm certain he'll stand atop and be full of celebration once he gets himself out to celebrate what is his 2nd win of the season. Enzo Deligny, victor in race number 3 at Estoril in Euro Cup in F4 Spanish Championship. So, excellent stuff all round from the Campos team and from the Red Bull Junior. A much-deserved victory, and it certainly means he'll go into the final 2 meetings at Valencia and Barcelona with plenty of confidence to try and hunt down, if he can, Teofil Nile, to try and steal the championship from him if possible. But it's quite a mountain to climb, with some 60 points back on the fellow Frenchman. A lot still to do. 6 more races left to run over the next couple of months. Excellent work from Christian Ho. Of course, he picked up a good 2nd place, which means that he has finished on the podium all 3 times. This is what happened at the start. This is Christian Ho holding on to the lead from Deligny in 2nd place. You see Teofil Nile in the blue, black and white car there in 4th place, trying to get around the outside of the 3rd place man, which was Renicella in the first of the MP Motorsport cars. There was Al-Azhari skating through the gravel at the start of race 1. He had a couple of adventures in that 3rd race earlier on. This was side by side between Pedro Clero and Noah Lyle, and Noah Lyle politely showing Pedro Clero the edge of the road as he defended the place. This was on the restart, on the first restart, when Deligny went on the attack and Christian Ho went diving down the outside, had a better grip on the racing line because he forced Ho to go tighter, and that put both cars off the road slightly, but managed to get himself in front and hold on to the place. And then from there, even though there was a 2nd safety car shortly after that, he was able to hold on and try and pull away to his advantage. Then one of the big moments was, of course, what happened to the championship leader, as the leading pack went through towards the end of the lap. And then just, I think here we can see in 4th place, if we can see it on the camera, just watch for Teofil Nal's blue and white car. And you can just see in the background there, look, his front rear wing has collapsed. And whether it was contact from somebody behind, whether it might have been something as light as somebody just lightly tapping the back of his car under safety car, we didn't see it on camera, but the championship leader failing to score. So here's the result from race 3. Enzo Deligny takes victory. That is second of the season for Campos Racing and as a Red Bull Junior. Christian Ho second and Valerio Rinicella in third. Cardenas fourth, from Claro fifth, and Lyle, Cluse, Kota, DePello and Yamakoshi rounding out the top 10 finishers. Some strong results for a few drivers in the mix after they've had some tough seasons so far. 11th place goes to Federico Alrafai. Geronimo Berrio bounces back from his black flag in race 2 to pick up 12th. For Noah Strumstead, who was disappointed with 13th. Carrasquedo, Gracia, Peebles, Oliveri, Alvise Rodella, Alazari with his 2 trips across the gravel to take 19th. And Luciano Morano rounding out the top 20. And then a few of the cars towards the back which didn't actually make it towards the end as we stroll through to 21st position backwards. And that would be Theodore Jensen from Eric Genet, Kai Darianani, Lynn Hodenius had a pit stop. And off the road, Sarazan also had issues too. Alex Ninovic was in the pit lane, so was Teofil Nal, crucially out of the race with a broken rear wing and unable to finish the race. We had problems for Carl Bennett, Alexander Abkajava, Fernando Barrichello, Sebastian Murray, Maximiliano Restrepo, Isaac Barashi and Georgi Zaravsky, who all got caught up in their own incidents throughout the race. So the Spanish F4's Portuguese adventure has completed. And of course, as I say, 2 more rounds left to go before the season is concluded, and potentially Valencia could be the first opportunity for Teofil Nal, all being well, and hopefully no more collapsing rear wings aside, to potentially pick up the title. Here's some more highlights on that second restart. You can just see there, just watch for Teofil Nal's car. Oh, not quite there, but yeah, there it goes, just there on the back. Now, I can't tell if that was simply just a vibration from something when he went over the curb, or something that just got dislodged, but that's a really strange failure. I've not seen that really before very often when it comes to rear wing failures. Usually it has to take some kind of contact in order to dislodge something. This was Lynn Hedenius scooping over the gravel in one of the Monlau Motorsport cars. But as we switch now to the podium, it's now 3rd place for Valerio Rinicella, 2nd place for Christian Ho, and Rinicella will be relieved at getting a podium to the end of the weekend. And of course, a 2nd win of the season for Enzo Deligny, the Red Bull Junior. The French-Chinese driver, and of course a representative from Campos on the podium to pick up the trophy for the winning team in this race. I'm not sure they've got the the flags around the right way. They've still got the Singapore flag up there, which I don't think is correct. So 3rd place for Valerio Rinicella. It's then 2nd place for Christian Ho. And victory for Enzo Deligny for Campos, and that'll be delighted. Again, not quite, I think, the right flag for him, but up the top behind them. As we now get ready, I believe it should be, I think, for the national anthem of France, I reckon, in a second, because there's the winning trophy for Campos. And remove their hats for what should be the national anthem for France. I think the confusion on the driver's faces says it all. They're expecting the French national anthem, and then Christian Ho was looking around to say, why is my national anthem playing? I didn't win the race, but never mind on that side. But it will be some victory celebrations, of course, for Enzo Deligny, and that concludes this weekend's action, of course, at Spanish F4 here in Estoril. Thanks so much for all those who've been watching. 2 more weekends left to go, and a first chance at Valencia in a couple of weeks' time for Teofil Nal, the championship leader, to potentially put the championship out of reach of everyone else. Can he do it, or will his rivals be able to take advantage of him losing points today? From all of us here at Estoril, thank you very much for watching. For myself, Scott Woodward, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit notifications to watch all the action live in a couple of weeks' time from Valencia. And until then, bye for now.